My name is Mike Mello. I'm the founder of SimpleSide AI. We help staffing firms increase profits with content creation, outbound automation, and AI workflows. 5 months new, just started the company. Please do not call me an AI guy. I am a staffing guy, worked in staffing for 10 years, just started the company. Did about $100 million in sales in the staffing sales seat. So through SimpleSide AI, I help staffing founders implement the exact strategies that I used to produce those type of numbers.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jason Moskal. I'm Chief Marketing Officer at SI Systems, which is a leading IT recruiting firm up in Canada. I've been with SI a little over a year now. Prior to that, I was with Randstad North America, and I helped drive their North American business around logistics and professionals. Kind of have a variety of a background, very mosaic. I've been in hospitality, financial services, automotive, and really provide a different perspective in the staffing space since I've been in it in the last 5 years, and look forward to kind of sharing some of those insights with you guys.
My name is Tim Glenny. I'm managing partner, co-founder of Bridgeview. We're a technology consulting firm, so I have an IT staffing side and also technology consulting practice. I think also a board member here with TechServe, so representing you guys. And then I think particularly this, also a technology investor and advisor. I've invested in some early stage tech staffing companies as well as some other tech companies. So I've worked hands-on in a lot of this tech that we're all seeing and a lot of the noise that we're hearing. So that'll be part of my perspective.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm excited. Okay. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you've ever been to one of my panels, I want this to be a conversation. You came in here with certain expectations, certain questions that you might want to have answered, and I want to make sure that those things get answered. You can see all my scribble scrabble from yesterday, making sure that whatever expectations you had, whatever fears you had, we're addressing those. Now, while this is a 3-hour masterclass, we have a concentrated amount of time to learn together. So with that, ask your questions. I hate leaving questions until the very end because I always feel we never have enough time, right? So as your little brain comes up with really smart questions, please raise your hand. I will come to you, and I know we're recording, so I'm going to get as close to you as possible, not to be creepy, but so that they can hear you because we don't have a microphone to pass around. So just raise your hand, and I'll come to you. All right, let's talk to you. Anybody read the MIT study recently on AI and adoption?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so it essentially said 95% of AI projects fail, right? Okay, so me being the data person, I look at the cross data, look at what they're researching, and let me tell you, I'm far more optimistic than that. However, our industry does tend to be a little laggardly. So, in order to mitigate not getting AI adopted, we're going to talk about some things that we can do to, 1, ensure we address the challenges, 2, we recognize where we might have some pitfalls, talk about some of those solutions, and we're going to talk a little future forward, right? Because it wouldn't be fun if we weren't talking about what we might have as well, right? That's very exciting. But let's talk data. So I brought some data for you. In the sales world, AI adoption has nearly doubled, jumping from 24% in 2023 to 43% in 2024. Professional services, including staffing, currently sit at about 12% adoption in the US. But 73% of sales professionals believe AI will be the standard in all sales software by 2030. So early movers are going to win this game. I've spent the last 3 years keynoting, across the U.S. on AI, and the one thing that I've changed in my keynote this year is I am not so nice anymore. It is not AI. It is, think about it. It's an option. It's not an option. Raise your hand if you know how to use the internet. Raise your hand. I want to see it. Raise your hand if you know how to use the internet. There's back how many people you know how to use the internet. All right? Are you clear? Okay. We do face a couple of unique challenges that can make AI particularly valuable. On the sales side, we often struggle from where are the leads going to come from? How are we going to contact as many people? We're talking about content, digital marketing as a core competency. We have Digital marketing, meaning your internal people and external people, particularly Gen Z, Gen A, and the millennials, all want to be marketed to, right? And so sales has now another thing to be responsible for. So it's not just your traditional selling, it's going to be the social part of that, the social selling there, which AI can really, really help with. It'll help reducing response times, and it'll help you save, in some cases, 17 hours per role per week, which is pretty remarkable. But again, let me be clear, this is enhancement, not replacement. So we're going to talk about some meaningful ways that we maintain the humanity in a very, very human industry. Because I think we can do just that when applied appropriately. So our talk is going to set the stage. Let's set the stage now. Let's start with what's actually happening in your organizations, gentlemen, right now. So can each of you briefly discuss AI tools or capabilities you're currently using in your own sales process? And I'll start with you, Tim and Jason. How you're solving sales problems specifically right now. And then Mike, we're going to come to you on how you're solving problems.
Sure. Yeah, so I think what I look, and Laura and I have talked about this before, is really looking at the workflow for sales, right, from the beginning to the end, and saying, where's something manual happening that's not bringing a lot of value to our clients or really inspiring our teams. And I think, probably have a lot of salespeople in here, and salespeople love to talk to other people, but they hate to take notes and take actions and all of that. So I think the first thing that we really leaned into were the AI note takers, demoed a bunch of the different tools. We landed on Fireflies, which has been a really good game changer, rolled it out across the organization, put some enterprise controls in place. There's times you want Fireflies to show up and times you don't, and as we're going through a pilot, we saw kind of good and bad, good and bad, you could definitely piss off some clients, so learning the different rules there. And I think for me as a leader, it was really listening to the sales team and understanding where are you looking to get help and where do you want me to stay out of your business, right? And it's not a one size fits all. But people always ask me for very specific things, so I'm going to get specific. So Fireflies I do think is the best tool out there. I'm not paid to say that, but I went through Otter, Fathom, a bunch of the other tools. And I think one of the things that makes it powerful, how many people in this room do intake calls with clients for recs, right? Okay, and then how many of you guys have a format for how you'd like this to look? So when each recruiter looks at it, it's in a predictable way, if it's remote, if the salary, right, all that stuff. Shit that salespeople are never going to do, they probably shouldn't be doing, right? So we have a very specific format for that. So within Fireflies, you can create AI tools. It's very simple. Like Lauren said, anybody who can do the internet can create these tools in here. It's just like creating a prompt in the ChatGPT. And we would just say, hey, anytime we do this type of call, we want you to go through and format the notes exactly this specific way. And deliver it to our salespeople. And depending on your organization, you can create a Zap through Zapier and have it go directly in your database. Create a new client rec. But it was a beautiful use case. It also applies on the recruiting side. I'm not going to get into that because we're talking about sales. But if you want to take away from me, I think it's a great tool and a great approach.
And at SI, we look at it a couple different ways. And I'll actually start with recruiting because it's reverse engineering, right? We are in the business of human capital. We are bringing qualified people to our clients. And so the way we started our AI journey was actually looking at the recruitment process, and we used Azure OpenAI to be smarter about identifying the candidates that have the right expertise based on exactly what the client's looking for. Because that enables our salespeople to better fit what the client's actually looking for. So kind of reverse engineering in terms of where we started. What we've also done is we've gotten smarter with how we use AI to target prospects. So this year we've done a lot of piloting to say how do we help arm our sales team with better insights using AI so they can get those insights quicker. So when they are looking at target prospects, whether it be a contact or a new brand, how can they be smarter with how they reach out to and what they're pitching so it's about what the client is solving. And we've seen this year alone, just some of our pilots, we have almost 100 new logos in our portfolio based on how our sales team has used that. And of course, that's a combination of using AI to get the insights and developing the right content. So really, it's the left hand and the right hand working together on the recruitment side, making sure we're using it to find the best candidates for the roles that we're getting, and then arming our salespeople with the right message at the right time and going after the right targets.
Perfect. Mike, from a product perspective, how are you solving some of these problems?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with data enrichment. When I was in the sales seat and staffing, I used ZoomInfo, Discover.org, I used Apollo, right? I went through them. The best data enrichment tool that you can use right now, and I promise they do not pay me to say this either, is Clay. Clay is not being utilized in the staffing industry. In the next 6 months to 18 months, Clay will be the #1 data enrichment tool in staffing. I use Clay for all my clients. We've only been live for 5 months. We've booked over 50 meetings with ICPs, right? So with ICP, ideal customer profile, with the person who will give the staffing firm money, right? And that's a very important distinction. So Clay is is, in my opinion, the best data enrichment tool. From an outbound email automation perspective, we use SmartLead. That helps with getting the messages out, right? So Clay is really cool. So what you can do in Clay is you can actually build enrichments that will tell us what companies have received funding in the last 24 months. I can build enrichments on what companies have had specific open jobs in the last 24 months. I can pull enrichments on what companies are VC backed, right? What companies are going through a merger. Essentially, it's GBT on steroids, and it allows you to scrape for this information. And then with an outbound automation tool, such as a SmartLead, such as an Instantly AI, they're all very similar, the outbound tools. You can automate the messages out to your prospects. Now, with that said, there's still a very human element to this. So where we get the most conversions is using Clay for enrichments, outbound emails go out, and then the reps call. And then where we also get a lot of conversions is through video messages. So I believe Loom is $24 a month. I use Loom to grow my main account when I was in staffing. So instead of doing 100 calls a day, I would send 50 Loom messages a day. And this is something that's working very well for all of our clients.
I love it. Okay, so video. Let's talk a little bit about video and data behind video. So we know statistically that a receiver is 38% more likely to open an email review and post if it's got a visual or if it has a video.
Yep.
So that's pretty compelling when we think, okay, what type of content should I be sending out? I know it should either have a visual, but video is very profound right now. And something like Loom, video, I mean, you can record plenty of content on video on the free, on the free tool, free membership, what have you. But there were a couple things that you said. Okay, so let's talk about transcripts, prospects, and data enrichment. How do you think transcripts are going to help enrich sales in the future? Anyway.
I think it's helping now because you really understand the client's needs better. And a lot of times I think salespeople, you get in after calling, this is what they said, no, this is what they said. Like, well, here's exactly what they said, and using that data to help.
Accountability. Accountability is big. But let's imagine a world now, right? Let's imagine a world where what do we do every single day, whether we're on the recruiting side or the sales side? What do we do every day?
Prospect?
Talk. What are we doing there? All we do is talk. Right? Now, imagine a world where all of that conversation, all of these transcripts are coming into your ATS or CRM and they're enriching contact data. Right? We now have a living, breathing profile on our contacts and our candidates, which finally will be able to eliminate the mistake, which I've been trying to do for 30 years. So we have this opportunity to have this transcript data. So if you don't have your fireflies or what have you integrated with your ATS or CRM, something's happening. Either I'm humming or it's humming. But we now have the ability to take all of that transcript data, better inform prospect data, enrich that data with tools like Clay. And I've got about 12 agencies on Clay.
Oh, do you? Okay. Yeah, that's great.
It's happening.
Yeah,
It's
go
happening. It's slow, but it's happening.
A lot of software folks use Clay.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough. A lot of software folks
Yeah.
use Clay.
It's expensive, that's why.
It is expensive.
Yeah.
It is expensive. And there are alternatives to Clay. So if you have questions about those alternatives, let me know. There are some a little more cost effective. We in staffing tend to be very, very budget conscious. So you had tools like Gong or what have you that made a short entrance in here, and then staff was like, I'm not paying $10,000 for me. Thank you very much. And then they were out for the way. All right. So now let's talk about the results you've seen, because because I think this is where agencies get lost. So number one, we don't really have an agenda when we buy a tool, right? We don't have a problem that we're trying to solve for, nor do we have a desired ROI. So let's talk a little bit, and I'll start with you.
Sure.
How are you demonstrating as a new software product, right? My question to you as a new software product is, what have you done with it?
Sure.
Right? So that's what
I've heard that before.
You should be asking all the time, what have you done for me lately, and how can we demonstrate that to me on a monthly, weekly, minute basis, right? So what have you done for people lately?
Absolutely. Just to clarify, so SimpleSide, we do not have a product. I'm a services provider. Yeah, no, totally okay. So essentially what I'll do with the staffing agencies, I'll sit down with them and I'll say, what's the goal, right? Is the goal to grow the enterprise account that you have 100 people at? Do you want to grow that to 200 people? Is the goal simply to run leaner? Is the goal to break into a new market? So as far as an ROI perspective, again, we're brand new, just under 5 months. There's about just under $250,000 that I can tie directly to our services for ROI for our clients. There's about $250,000 that I can tie directly to our services for pipeline, right? So that is through outbound automation, that's through content, and that's through video messaging, specifically.
Who could use the extra quarter of a mil?
It doesn't happen right away, so just want to set that expectation. It'll happen right now. Yeah. So I think you bring up such a good point, right? Any of the folks that come from a sales background in here, you know how hard it is to build an account. You know how hard it is to grow something. You know how competitive it is. There is no AI tool that will ever make it easy. When I left the staffing sales seat, I had 135 people on billing. I was doing $75K a week in gross profit, and my hairline was leaning back more and more every day because it's so stressful. So there is no tool. And I tell folks that up front. A good expectation for SimpleSide, or really good expectation for any service or any tool, it's going to take months, right? So where our clients start to see meetings coming in, agreements, requirements, month 3, month 4, month 5, right? Because for 3 months, we're putting out content, we're sending emails, we've enriched 3,000 contacts. Yeah, so I think that's a great point. And just, something that even as a new business owner myself, I look at that, right? What's the ROI and when can I expect it?
I want all of you to have a vendor report card. Every vendor should be on the report card, and you should be in the wow by month 12.
That's yeah. Yep.
I want to reinforce what Mike said, though, because I think where the ROI question starts and ends is be clear on your objectives with AI. Because a lot of people, and unfortunately, we have companies last week, Amazon came out and said, we're laying off all these people because of AI, right? So immediately, the understanding in the market is AI means cost savings, means reduction in force. That's not necessarily what it means. So it's important that you think about as an organization with your entire leadership, what is the objective that we are looking to do? What's our learning agenda for the next year in terms of what we introduce? Because that becomes your filter with which tools you implement, how you determine what's successful and what isn't. On the sales side, our key was around, are we shortening that distance from the initial introduction to a potential new logo or a new contact to actually getting an order and getting a placement, right? Is that helping us and giving us the intel that we need to shorten that? It doesn't mean that we're going to reduce our number of salespeople. It means we're going to help our salespeople more productive. So we're very clear in terms of how we're using it from a sales perspective. From a recruitment perspective, we're saying, are we helping the recruiter get rid of those tasks that are taking a lot of time, that are not value add to the client? It's helping us get to the right candidates quicker, the right recaps, so we can get that candidate placed. So we're very clear around what our productivity filter is, which is around quicker speed from intent to actually getting them to purchase and getting them placed, and making sure that we're using it from an efficiency perspective on the recruitment side. But
how many of you
it's really
have
important.
changed your metrics because of AI? Because that's a brilliant point, Jason. How many of you have ticked it up based on AI enablement, right? Okay, couple. Okay, I want to see more hands, right? That's exactly right. You have to reimagine what those activity metrics should, would, and should be with better enablement.
Well, and just a quick point on that too is a lot of sales people today are scared. because they're afraid that AI is going to take their job. And I think it was NVIDIA's CEO said earlier this year, it's not people shouldn't be worried about AI taking their jobs. They should be worried about people that are using and learning AI taking their jobs, right? Because it's not a replacement, to your point, it's about additive. And so how are you using that tool to be smarter, better, faster? And that's important.
Yeah, I lean on a similar point, and I stood in front of my team and I said, very similar to you, AI is not going to replace you guys, but you guys need to use AI not to get replaced, right? So it's not optional, it's a mandate in our organization. And we were talking about, the enriching of transcripts, and I always just look at a way, how can we get an advantage, right? And so one specific way that's been a quick win, I used the Fireflies example earlier. How many people in here have used Fireflies or something similar? Okay, so like specific in Fireflies, there's a tool, it's in beta now, but it's Ask Fred in live conversation. So envision, if you will, having a chat GPT-like function, listening in on your sales call. And Meritus, say you're on a call with a client and he starts rolling out some technology and you're like, oh my God, I wish I had somebody on this call. I don't know what the specific thing is. You could just ask in the chat, hey, just give me a brief explanation of what he just said and what are 3 good follow-up questions, right? So this is live coaching on a call that you're using with AI. Or if you've been on there 15 minutes, maybe you got distracted, you're like, summarize the call so far for me and what should I ask next, right? So this is stuff we dream of having because, I was in a sales role for a long time. You get busy, you're thinking about different things, it's your 3rd meeting of the day, you're getting things mixed up, and to have something that can get you on track right there in the meeting and using it in a real-time fashion. I think the big thing with AI is we're not getting a lot of packaged AI that's just hitting all the use cases that we need. It's where we're having to think in our head, how can I use this tool? Like I've heard a million cool different ways to use ChatGPT I didn't think of, but then I hear those and I'm like, oh, that's a great way to apply it. So Lauren said it before, but it's important to note, at the top of the funnel for recruiting, if you look at the vendors out here that are displaying a ton of recruiting tools, not a ton of sales tools because there's not a lot of great companies applying it in a meaningful way yet. So you guys are going to have to make your own recipe and hopefully get some tips out of what we're saying and blending it with other people.
So how many,
Guys, I have a question really on usage because we in our organization, we're demoing all of the tools. And as an owner and as leadership, I will bring any tool to my team, but the problem is none of my team is stepping up to do it. And they're saying we're too busy, we don't want to do this, we have too many reps. And we're trying to say, we're giving you the tools that's basically going to give you your own admin. It's your own intern who's going to, ChatGPT, whatever tools. So what advice do you have? Because even in the past few days, when I'm just talking to people, we're all saying the same thing. I can't sit through another demo if my team's not going to use it.
Yeah, we'll stop doing the demos first, and Lauren will tell you this, if you're working with her firm, is like really first understand your own internal tech stack as a team. What do you have in place, right? And then where's the white space you need to color? Is it adding in a new additive tool that isn't in your mix, right? Is it a replacement? It's combining multiple tools that you have in place. Like where are you gonna get lift? But we all get hit up by so many different vendors, and God bless them, there's a lot of great ones out there. But it's overwhelming now, the noise and what people are promising to do. So I think if you look internal and realize what the opportunity is and start to map that to a requirement, that'll guide you to which conversations should you be having with the vendors. Like, hey, do you do these 3 things? If so, great, let's set up a call. Like there's a partner here that I'm working with, Alessandra, like we had, and she knows, we sent her a list of 33 requirements before we do a demo with them. Like, does your tool do these 33 things? If not, let's not talk, because this is what we need. And so I think it's really doing that. And the final thing I'll say is really understand your base, right? So you're talking about a team that's overwhelmed, they just want to work on Rex and do all of that. What is their tolerance for adoption? Did they adopt the last 2 tools you got? Do you have ROI that Lauren's talked about, right, in this environment? And if you have a low adoption team, be careful about what you're bringing on and also make your training better that you're doing with them. Because there's so many tools coming right now, and you have to pick your shot. You can't bring in all these tools. It's sometimes good to bring in a couple at a time and really go through a training phase of your company. So I'm just saying be very selective.
And I would just add, I think, being the marketing guy in the room, right? you always have to understand what are the resistance points and what are the insights that are going to help you drive adoption, right? When you think about the client buying with you, what are they solving for? So when you're trying to sell this internally, you have to understand why are they resisting. Because what you had mentioned, those are excuses as to why not. And just to point out, Lauren started our session here with the question of how many of us know how to use the internet? Well, if we rewind back to the 90s when the internet was just coming, everybody was scared, right? It was something new, you didn't know, am I gonna break it, am I gonna screw it up, right? And now we can't imagine the world without all this connectivity. It's the same thing with AI. So you have to really understand what is driving the resistance with adoption and saying and being clear, this is going to help solve what your challenges are. So you shouldn't resist it, you should embrace it. The other thing I'd say is get a handful of people in your organization to try it and test it so they can be the evangelists. They can say, don't resist this, guys. This has literally changed my day. It has increased my productivity. It's increased my revenue, my GM, whatever it is. Because if you have their peers saying that, then they're like, there's no reason for me to resist this.
Monica, you know what you can try doing as well is like do a, I don't know, lunch and have a lunch and learn in your office and throw it in there.
We did that, we brought in a ChatGPT specialist, and it was the first time that they said, oh my God, it did that? Well, yeah, we did something like that. But I can't even get them to turn on tab and note taker, so they don't have it. They're literally still writing, and I'm like,
Okay, so. Okay. We got 2 points here, right? You heard this, right? Change management and change acceptance. The agency that gets to change acceptance will create agility. Agility is what you guys don't have. So here, we have a big opportunity to scale pretty excellently. But between change management and change acceptance, this is pretty little bridge. It has 3 things. It's discipline, communication, and accountability. It's up to you to hold your people accountable. If you're going to spend your hard-earned money as an owner on a tool, the expectation should be that they use it. And there are tools out there that will allow you to track that. License modules, underscore, there's all sorts of things. But we have to hold people accountable. And we have to understand the difference between change readiness, change management, and change acceptance. Yes, Nancy?
I understand the use case that Tim was talking about with the fire slide, but I have a question on the use case when it comes to sending out the emails. What we hear a lot from our prospects is they're essentially getting the exact same messages because the AI tools are using their LinkedIn profile, personalized messages, or they're using the same intent data, so the exact same email.
Yeah.
So my question is, yes, when we offer say, isn't that AI flop? And then what is our argument, or how do we counteract that so that we make sure that we're using AI?
So how do we, for those that are listening on the recording, how do we maintain the unique messaging when we're all being bombarded with the same AI message? Like, oh, I've seen you went to X event and you have on your profile,
Yeah.
right? And that's how
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
Right?
Sounds pretty good.
So how do we,
Yeah.
again, how do we?
It's a great question. Yeah, it's a wonderful question. And I get those messages too. I think I've gotten probably 6 or 7 today. Every cold email that a salesperson sends should have 4 elements. It should be an observation, a problem, a solution, and a call to action. The solution does not need to be your solution. That's very important. Okay, so observation could be this merger happened, funding happened, there's a data breach, right? So observation, problem, why that hurts the company. A data breach you'll lose revenue by X amount, right? Solution, right? We help firms with that, right? We have cybersecurity folks, right? However you want to word that. Call to action. Hard call to action does not work in staffing. The software guys can do it, they can push. Staffing, it does not work. You have to be light. All of the meetings that we've booked with our outbound automations, we get the meetings on email 6, 7, and 8. And sometimes, I was telling someone yesterday, we just booked a meeting for one of our clients. The prospect looked at his video 17 times. 17 times before he responded. 17 times. The sales rep just got 5 requirements. So think about that. 6, 7 emails, videos, prospect has to see you, they have to feel you, they have to believe you can solve their problem before you're going to meet with them. Specifically about AI slop, I do not encourage you to have GBT write your messages. I actually write all of the copy for our clients. We have 11 clients. I will be offboarding that eventually because I'm burning out and I need to bring someone else on. But somebody who understands staffing and has domain expertise should be writing the copy. And the copy should be short and punchy, and you should send videos. If you do that the right way for 12 weeks and you incorporate video messaging specific to the pain points of your customers and you call, I guarantee you'll have new business.
Yeah, I want to reinforce that level of specificity. Mike and I were just talking about that before, is so much in our industry, it is inside out. We're trying to solve with what talent we have and how we can place them. You've got to be relevant. I mean, the difference between a successful sales pitch is relevancy. If you are relevant and you are developing that content and you are putting in a problem that's relevant to a prospective client or client, they're going to be open to listening because they're going to say, this person understands the pain that I'm going through or the challenge I have or the opportunity I have. And I will say, even as a marketing person, I get hundreds of people reaching out directly on LinkedIn, and it is the same canned speech and pitch every time. And it's the ones that stand out are the ones that are understanding the uniqueness of my industry or what I'm facing, that actually took the time to go beyond. And I think, to Mike's point as well, it's the multiple touches. A lot of people, I mean, how many of you, I'm gonna go back in the day, right, when you saw a TV spot for whatever and you saw something was on sale, you didn't drop everything you were doing and go immediately to the store, right? You said, oh, I gotta pick that up next time. And then you saw that ad a couple more times, right? It's the same thing with the choreography of a sales outreach, an email series. It's a choreography of saying, am I building my understanding and demonstrating that I understand the problem they have and a potential solution, and not necessarily you as the solution provider, but understanding, and they're going to be more apt to say, I want to talk to this person because they really understand what I'm facing right now, and that opens up and starts to build trust, which is important in that process.
Yeah, and I think the premise is spam doesn't work, right? I mean, highly personalized messages in our business work, I think, which is both these guys are doing. And I think a lot of the AI solutions out there obviously push these hyper-personalized spam messages. They're still spam messages. I'll just tell this one quick story because we did it a couple of years ago. We're like, hey, let's, it was kind of the front end of seeing a lot of these highly personalized AI messages. And the use case was we use this tool called SalesZilla, and they built out all these campaigns for us, and they put multiple domains. So it wasn't our normal Bridgeview domain. It'd be like bridgeview.cc, so it wouldn't burn out our credibility, right? We could run this pilot with these guys. And so what our theory was is like, hey, we're gonna go out nationally and target like all these different job openings that are out there on all these different boards, and we're gonna have AI identify obviously who the company is, who the hiring manager likely is, and then put something specific in about them, their company, the job, and how we're the right match to fit it, right? So a decent use case. And we ran it for 6 months and got some good results at the beginning, but it rapidly dropped off because I think we hit that saturation point with all of this stuff out there. But the end note is like, hey, did you get business? The business we got was bottom feeding business. And if I was to describe the client, and you guys have all had this person, they probably burned out every other agency and screwed them over. And when you call, they're like, another sucker to work this wreck that we burned into the ground? Please take this piece of flaming shit from me.
Yeah. Can I just add one more point to that, Lauren?
Yes.
Gartner did a wonderful report a couple months ago about how most decision makers are about 70% of the way through the decision-making process before they take a meeting. And this is really important. So when I first started in staffing, I was 25 years old. I would sit by the phone. I'd make 150 calls. 6 people would pick up. I'd book 2 meetings. I'd get a rec, and I'd have a good career. That doesn't work anymore because you have to do all of the work up front now. This is how you book meetings. Most people aren't talking about this with AI. AI has shifted who gets the business because whoever provides all the value up front and whoever does all the work up front gets the business. Right? And even the folks that we've worked with who are seeing a strong ROI, they're founders that I sit with once or twice a month. They're creating content. They are immersed into their business. The reps are making calls, right? So there's still a lot of work, but the difference is it's not that you get a meeting and then do the work. You have to do all of the work up front, then you get the meeting, then you have goodwill, and then you're able to actually win the business.
Oh, okay, so I have one thing to say about that, and then we've got a question. So let me give you a use case. I had a customer come to me and said, I know we have to implement AI. I know we do. The guy next door is doing it, the guy in front of me is doing it, getting down the street, and I feel this sense of urgency, and I'm panicked about it. And he was like, I don't understand. So I said, all right, that's all right. Could you do a one-question survey with all of your people and get 100% response from 90 people? And he was like, one question? I said, yes, one question. And then I want you to give me the data, and then I will give you a roadmap back for free. And I'll do that for anybody in this room. And so he did the survey, he got 100% response. All 90 people responded. The one question was, what gets in your way every day? What gets in your way every day? Ask that of your recruiters, ask that of your salespeople, ask that of your leaders. A one-question survey, what gets in your way every day? You want to know what we found out? Well, number one, 33% of them had some emotional issues because they were feeling overwhelmed by the push for tech and all of this thing. So, we had to work on culture, and we had to work on change culture. Okay, so that's good. That's good. That tells us one thing where we are fundamentally with our people. Number two, we found out 3 of his branches had Wi-Fi issues. Cost him $35 to fix that problem. But it was what was getting in their way every day, right? But the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh thing mapped out our AI roadmap for the entire year. We had exactly a roadmap of what was getting in their way, what was costing them time, what was disrupting them from a recruiting and a sales perspective. And I put in a beautiful visual dashboard, so I would encourage you, do that survey. If you want me to walk you through that, but that is a brilliant way to find out where to start. Your people will tell you. Okay? Okay, we had a couple questions back here. I want to forget about this. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Tim. I guess the question, Tim, you mentioned that, the AI is not going to replace your job. If you're not using AI, you're going to be replaced by someone who is. I mean, in a company our size, are you charging out to say, here are the AI tools we're all going to use and here's the plan? Or are you saying, you guys go find tools and start using them? And if you're selecting those tools, how do you roll those in? Because are you saying, okay, we're using this tool today, but in a couple of weeks you realize, okay, that's not for us, we switch it, and then that creates a lot of inertia with the team, we're using this tool, we're not using that tool.
Okay, so the question was, okay, so you're telling your people AI won't replace you, but someone that knows how to use it will. So how do we incentivize them essentially to move on this?
Yeah, how do you decide what tools you're going to use as a company, and
What tools are you going to use? How are you going to use them? Okay.
smaller companies don't have a team that they're going to spin off and say, you guys are in charge of AI research.
Right. The smaller agencies don't have the R&D team or what have you, but I do believe R&D can happen no matter the size. But
Yeah.
gentlemen, what say you?
Yeah, I've got something for that one. So let me ask this, how many people in this room run or are familiar with EOS? And you know what rocks are. So every 90 days, each person on your team has one little project that's like the most important thing they need to get done in the next 90 days, right? So and I know there's several people here that do it. Long story short, Dan, I think the best thing to do is to get your team in early. So Nick, who's here, my VP recruiting, and I, we've used Candidly's products, good products. They have a new AI search tool in it, not specific to this panel. But he and I liked it, and then we were talking about potential rollout, adoption with the recruiting team. But I had Jan, who runs Candidly, like, hey, do a video. I'm going to show it to my recruiters. They asked a bunch of questions. I said, let's get you guys on the phone, the whole recruiting team, demo, ask every question. Because one of the recruiters said something to me. He's like, oh, we demoed this last tool, and I said something about it, and you guys still got it. And I'm like, okay, well, go on here and forever hold your peace and ask every question. And you guys in or out, and if we get this, you commit to using it, right? So get them involved in the process and get them committed early. One other thing I will tell you, each quarter I take on different projects. One this quarter is wrapped around custom GPTs, right? And building out custom GPTs for sales and recruiting. And so I made sure on my sales team, I have a salesperson who owns that rock in conjunction with me and a recruiter. And then we sit down and we go through use cases, and I'm like, go back and talk to the team. What do they want to do? What makes this thing easier? We spun up one a couple of days ago where, you know, salespeople just want to quickly have whatever client notes they get, you know, a posting that's going to go up on our website or go out. And sometimes recruiters do it, sometimes sales. But we have a template. Just throw the template into ChatGPT. Hey, when I throw in these notes, make sure the job looks exactly this way. Boom, copy and paste, and it goes out. You know, never have client information, whatever the guardrails you put in place. And so it's really engaging the team. I think a lot of times when they just hear from the leaders and the vision, they don't feel invested in it. They just feel like a follower. But making the people on your team a leader and engaged and listening, because I guarantee you have smart people on your team that are engaging with ChatGPT, and you have some people that never want to use it. So get in those people, like he was saying earlier, the subject matter experts, and make them part of the solution, and have them be the evangelist to the teams and show the results. Like, oh, you're still spending 20 minutes to format a resume? I click this button and get it done in 20 seconds, you know? What team do you want to be on?
Can I follow that with a question? If they're a commission person, and you spend months to do that project, and they're not doing commission-related work, how do you, because then they're, you know, these people are motivated, they want to make money, so you take them off to do the project, to do the research, how do you pay them for, hey, if you do this, we'll give you a bonus, or how do you deal with that?
So he's asking how would that impact commissions?
Yeah, so and I think you're specifically saying if each person on my team. So the leadership team has the big rocks, right? We're carrying the Gibraltars up the hill and doing that. Individual contributors, they're very specific, and they take less than 5% of their week to do. And when they involve technology, I do the heavy lifting, and I'm just basically getting them to give me use cases of what they do. And I want them to see, like, how many people in here have edited a custom GPT? Like, to do that? Okay, a few. You should learn how to do it, right? It's just giving it basic instructions, so you don't have to keep telling it to do the same thing. You tell it, I'm very particular. Every time I ask you this, I want it 500 words or less, and I want it formatted this way, and I want you to do this with it, right? That's all it's doing, is giving it instructions and telling it, definitely never do this, right? Or definitely always do that. I think just, I'm helping them do their job easier, and I'm not taking a lot of time on their plate, right? And so we have our, you know, support team, but we're getting them involved, so they have ownership in it, and they feel like they get to help shape it, which really drives successful adoption of whatever you're rolling out. And they get to be part of something, and it helps create team culture. So it works out really well. And generally, they make a lot more money, like the people that contribute to this, because they're thought leaders, they're getting engaged, and they're learning how to spend more time with their clients.
I'll just add to that real quick before, it's quality over quantity. So to your point around, you can't just throw 15 different new AI tools out there, because that's a real quick way for a commission salesperson to get frustrated and say, I literally wasted all this time with 6 of these tools and it did nothing for me. So be very thoughtful about how you engage them and which tools you select, and go back to what we said earlier. It starts with what you're solving for. And if you're not clear on that, or what barriers you're trying to remove, then you're immediately going to get frustrated, and that's where the change management of the whole process of adopting AI is going to go off the rails. So that's really important as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to even word this question, because I
Just
feel like
get it out.
I feel like a lot of people, okay, a lot of people in this
Show up and
room
throw it.
probably in a similar situation.
Okay.
So I am the producer.
Okay.
In my,
You are the producer.
I am the producer.
You're the head honcho.
Well,
Let it go.
We have finally built a sales team, like over there 24 years.
Okay,
Like
so
we are like moving in the right direction. Our owner has invested in AI. He wants to do it, he knows he has to do it, but him and I are kind of a little bit at odds right now, and our leadership team is trying to figure it out, because decisions get made. The change management, all of that, like, is not happening. And it's because we're a small business, it's the fast-paced nature of our business. And so more of like, where do you where
Can-
do I start to say,
Where does a frontline producer stop running and pause to pick up new
right, and
habits?
we are trying to, like, we are making steps. We have a couple of bad hires. We're in staffing, it's the grind, we all know. But for me to not lose my sanity or go at odds with the person that I respect, that I've had a great career with, to how do we kind of start over, because decisions get made not by the people that are in the trenches. And so that is a lot of probably small companies, small staffing firm problems, and I don't know how to fix it, and I can't do it.
Can I ask a question? Yeah.
It's not really a question.
No, it's okay. No, I speak the same way, so I actually understand exactly what you're saying, believe it or not. Is your goal to get your book off of your plate so you can be more intertwined with the business, therefore be able to make suggestions to the owner?
Yeah, because I'm on the leadership team at Knot. It's
Okay.
like, I had a push to come into leadership
Okay.
because they were protecting me, because they're like, oh, she's like, she can't, I'm not gonna handle it, but it's like, we gotta have her out there selling.
Yeah.
And so we're distracting her from selling,
Are
but I'm more than.
Yeah. Are the sales that you're bringing in, are you, and I imagine it'll be the latter, are you bringing in new business, or do you have existing relationships that give you business? All of it, okay. Look, the people on the ground know the pain points better than anyone, and they understand what actually moves the needle, and they understand where their time is being wasted. I would hold on to a part of your book of business, because that will give you, hold on to a part of your book of business.
But that's what we're doing, it to the point where my boss has said, not the CEO, has said, it would take 3 or 4 people to replace you. And so that, and then people, it's hard because it's like, salespeople's like, oh, you have a promotion, but it's like, I want to make sure it's transitioned in the right
Yeah.
way, but I don't even know, like, who we're
It's hard to delegate. Yeah, it's very scary to delegate. My personal opinion, I would advise you to try to offload 50% of your book. Still keep enough of it where you understand the real problem, so you're in a good position to advise for the owner. But I would try to delegate that.
Yeah. All right, I want to appreciate what you're
Yeah.
going on. You're totally, absolutely. We're all here for a little therapy together.
I'm next.
Yes, please. Here's what I would say. At some point you need to slow down and speed up.
That is what I'm doing, and it's hard.
Work is hard. Right? The only place where success comes before work is innovation. All right.
Nice.
You're welcome.
I like that.
That's it.
I'm still. That's great.
Okay, so I want to finish. We've got about 10 more minutes with some future talk, some excitement talk, right? But I want to pause on a couple things. Here's what I want you to do. How many of you have an AI policy? Okay, not enough hands went up. Okay, so what I want you to do is start with the AI policy, right? Then we start by educating our people on the responsible and right way to use these tools, right? So policy, education, then enablement, right? And then a couple things on like ChatGPT, and just understand that all of the LLMs do things better than others. ChatGPT, jack of all trades, master of none. Claude, really great at mimicking your voice. I give her 14 of my writing samples, and she's terrifying now, right? She can mimic my voice so well, right? Perplexity, one of the best at research. Gemini, great at current events. Grok, fastest, most with a good sense of humor, right? So understand that the LLMs are like people. They're all good at different things. When you understand that, and you stop insisting that AI is creating anything, it is not creating anything. It is regurgitating shit we've already created in different ways, right? So let's stop with AI is creating anything. It is simply an amalgamation of numbers and all the things that we as humans have created in this lifetime, right? Okay, so off that soapbox. So let's talk a little bit about the future. What do you see, from a sales enablement perspective? What does your crystal ball tell you?
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Oh man,
Crystal ball, please.
was that question on here? I think I missed that.
Just putting you on the spot.
It says,
All right, I will. I'm gonna do enterprise reps just because that's what I was, and I'm gonna do what I think how AI tools will adopt into staffing. I think for the enterprise reps, so any owners in here, if you have a rep who is going after an account where the potential is 100 plus people on billing, right? That rep can now do so much more than they ever did with good content and with good AI automation. The pain points that rep solves, your company solves, you can get that message out to 15x the people that you could get it out to even 2 or 3 years ago. So if you're thinking about where to use AI, automation, all the buzzwords, think about how it will make your business more profitable and think about how it will make your best sales reps even better, right? How it will give them gas. The second is, as far as AI tools, don't let it overwhelm you. Most of the biggest issues I see with staffing owners is they don't even know where to start. There are so many tools, there's so much noise, they don't know what's good. Find 1 or 2 tools, measure the ROI. If it works, lovely, integrate it. If it doesn't, tell it to kick rocks, right? And don't be afraid to keep it moving because there are so many tools. Don't get caught up with every shiny new object.